Welcome to the World News on Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. Happy New Year to you. My name is Esther Wachuku, and these are the top stories. 4 killed as gunmen attack Nasarawa supermarket. African Action Congress tackles Peter Obi over support on subsidy removal. Daniel Bwala speaks on Peter Obi and the Labour Party as a strong opposition. Atiku finally speaks on contesting 2027 presidency, and Magnus Abe returns to APC, makes promises. Details now. We'll begin the news with 4 people being killed on Tuesday when gunmen attacked a supermarket in One-Man Village near Mararaba in the Kara local government area of Nasarawa State. VOP News understands that the incident is now under investigation. Reports made available to journalists today reveal that the State Commissioner of Police, Umar Nadada, has instructed the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the State Criminal Investigative Department in Lafia to lead the investigation. VOP News gathered that 4 armed men carried out the deadly attack, which resulted in a tragic death of 4 customers. The Nasarawa police spokesperson Ramhan Nansel confirmed the incident to journalists, saying that 4 persons were killed in the incident, adding, however, that the Commissioner of Police has directed the Deputy Commissioner in charge of SCID to investigate the matter. And to politics, the African Action Congress Party has strongly criticized the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi. This comes in response to Obi's characterization of the Labour Party as a primary opposition party in Nigeria, despite the AAC, which perceives as the party's endorsement of unpopular policies such as the Naira redesign policy, fuel subsidy removal, and the allocation of 160 million SUVs for senators. In a series of posts on X, formerly known as Twitter, on Monday, Peter Obi had expressed the intention to engage in ongoing discussions and efforts to have the Labour Party adapt to its new role as Nigeria's main opposition party. Peter Obi tweeted, and I read, "We will continue to constructively engage all Nigerians and our friends. We have now realized the vast implications of the road not taken and the folly of national interest decisions predicated on sentiments and primordial interests." End quote. In response to the former governor of Anambra State labeling the Labour Party as Nigeria's primary opposition party, the African Action Congress expressed its disagreement on Tuesday through a series of posts on X. The AAC characterized the Labour Party in 2023 as an arrangement orchestrated by Obi, emphasizing that 2024 would not tolerate the misrepresentation of character and facts. According to the AAC, Nigerians are tired of the ruling class and pseudo-progressives whom the party described as agents of deceit, pointing out that opposition means to be different in ideas, and that Obi too described what he moved around within 2023 as opposition is being callous to Nigerians. The African Action Congress raised concerns about the impartiality of an opposition present in the Senate that refrains from opposing any neoliberal policies, yet possesses a fleet of SUVs valued at 160 million naira, all while the minimum wage for workers remains at 30,000 naira. Meanwhile, Daniel Bwala, as former spokesperson of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, has alleged that some Christian religious leaders who outwardly supported Peter Obi during the election did so out of genuine belief in Obi's candidacy, but as a strategic move. In an interview via a Monitor television program, Bwala asserted that these religious leaders used their support for Peter Obi as a means to influence the election outcome against Atiku. He said they didn't genuinely support Obi, but strategically aligned with him to prevent Atiku from winning the presidency. In Bwala's words, what Peter Obi didn't know is that some Christian leaders supported him to reduce votes Atiku could have gotten to emerge as president. Why did I say that? Immediately after the election, these same leaders that were attacking policy issues during Buhari's tenure, have you heard them for one day speaking against the removal of fuel subsidy or floating of naira? So they used him to stop Atiku, but not because they believed in him, end quote. Now, let's listen to Daniel Bwala during that particular Monitor television program, where he spoke expressively and enthusiastically about Peter Obi as, basically his words concerning the fact that he does not consider him a strong contender.
Is because if you have seen the last few weeks, he is singularly has been the person who has been interrogated on issues now. But at a better time, we'll talk whether Labour Party as a party can challenge. You can talk as an opposition, but do you have the infrastructure of opposition? That is what Peter Obi lacks. He doesn't have the patience to grow a party. He will never sit down and grow a party. That's the truth.
Why?
Labour Party consists of a movement of people who were aggrieved with the status quo. That has to be agreed. And funny enough, it's not just Labour Party. You find these youngsters in all political parties. Peter Obi came into the fore. There is even a bigger picture. We'll talk about it another time. But in the course of interrogating that, you could see immediately after election, he was not engaging with leaders of the party in various states. So it's all about him and what it takes to build a political party in the nature of Labour Party will mean that Peter Obi has to be involved in the activities of Labour Party as a political party, not just him as a candidate. He has to know what is happening in the states where you have the Labour Party. They have to come out with a blueprint on how to develop a grassroots political party. Being angry on social media is not enough opposition. Being angry on Twitter is not opposition. I told you during the campaign, we commissioned data analysts. They did a polling and came up with a finding that 53.7% of those who engage for him on social media don't live in Nigeria. So don't confuse presence in the social media to demonstrate the strength of a political party. A political party at the local level, to the state level, to the national level. Does Peter Obi know the national chairman of Labour Party all across Nigeria? Does he know the candidates running for positions across the country? Peter Obi did not secure those votes because of Peter Obi. What happened was that they rile up emotions. They build it around two things. One, marginalization of a section of Nigerians, and two, they build into the sentiments of the religious leaders. What Peter Obi himself did not know, and this is what we have found out after the election, that in fact even some of the religious leaders that were supporting Peter Obi, I'm talking of Christian religious leaders supporting Peter Obi at the time, we are actually helping to reduce the number that Atiku could have gotten to emerge as a candidate. Why did I say that? Immediately after the election, these same leaders that were quite vociferous during Buhari, attacking policy issues, immediately after this election, have you heard them for one day speaking against the removal of spoil subsidy, speaking against the floating of the naira? Even some of them in civil rights and the police, they even say Peter Obi is a graduate. But at the beginning, they claim to be working for him. So they used him to stop Atiku, but not because they believe in him. So respect their view, and it is a fact. These young people who are not happy with the status quo, you find them even in other political parties. You find them in PDP. It's a youth. Youth is not limited to one political. Even in APC, there are young people who were dissatisfied with what was happening. So you can find them in different places. For the Labour Party, I quite appreciate and respect the fact that the young people in Nigeria wanted to push a movement and make a change for themselves. So it is not like it is one sect of people that constitute the movement for Peter Obi. There is the religious element, which is majority. Then there is the young people element, which is there. And then there is the element of those who carry that feeling at the time that power must go to the south. And wherever it will go, but it mustn't come to the north. So a lot of these factors contributed. But how you would tell, like I said, and I wish Peter Obi well, whether Labour Party would stay alive and active till 2027 is going to be dependent on Peter Obi, right? How he is patient enough to build that political party. He must know the National Working Committee in various states. He must know candidates of the party. He must be involved in building the structure of the party. The church cannot be his structure. That's the point I'm saying. The church is not a structure of a political party. Okay.
And that was Daniel Bwala, a spokesperson for the Presidential Campaign Council of Atiku Abubakar, Vitupur, in expressing that the Labour Party has a long way to go, specifically Peter Obi, and that there were statistics conducted during the elections or after post-election whereby a lot of Nigerians who voted for Peter Obi and the Labour Party were basically Nigerians in diaspora, and literally stating that social media is not the grounds through which you can possibly articulate or gather that you have supporters. He's speaking about grassroots participation, knowing the National Working Committee members across all regions, across all states of the Federation, if the Labour Party intends to be a strong opposition, meaning that it is beyond him having to participate in several political conversations or lending his voice to political issues. It is about ingraining himself in every strata of the political atmosphere or hemisphere. And another thing is if he can grow the party. But for him, he says Peter Obi does not have the patience to grow the Labour Party. He would not sit down to grow the Labour Party. To talk about this and more issues on the World News at 6, I actually have via the telephone a legal practitioner, a political and social affairs commentator, and that is Mr. Darlington. Mr. Darlington, Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, it's a Happy New Year once again.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you doing?
Thank you. Fine. Thank you for joining us on the World News at 6. Mr. Darlington, is it true, based on what Daniel Bwala said, that the Labour Party does not have the local standard to strong firm as an opposition, specifically saying that Peter Obi lacks the patience and lacks the opportunity to grow the Labour Party? Do you see that body language with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party?
I think these people are becoming jittery about it to this opposition stance.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, since Peter B came out and said that they need to play the role of opposition, and he has been doing that. Doing that is very creditably. All of them have become so uncomfortable. Remember that APC came to him and offered him something and all that. Peter B said it. He said the APC came and, the mouth-watering offer.
No, basically, he said they offered him a lot of possibly positions in government, but that one of the things was for him to work with this administration to move the economy forward.
That's what I'm saying. At least they offered him something. If P2B is a nobody, will they do that? Esther, if P2B is a nobody, remember that when Papa so went to Chatham House, he told the whole world that P2B's Labour Party is like Andrew's liver salt that will soon fizzle out. But during the election, Papa so got only 1 million votes. P2B got to 6 plus. Look at the gap from 1 to 6. So all these attacks on P2B cannot stop anybody. If it was true that people in that corner are the major people on social media, how come P2B got the vote he got? Even at that, everybody knows that P2B was cheated during the last election. You saw what happened in Rivers, where P2B clear. But for reason best not to weaken and the same answer, they gave it to Tinubu. The result they collected is saying another thing. The result in Ireland is saying another thing. And that was why even BBC and President Times, they concluded that P2B won that election because the figures did not add up. So how come? All the things that Bwala is saying, is there any statistics to show that what he's saying is correct? A man who came in for the first time and contested the presidential election and defeated Tinubu in his own domain, Lagos State, defeated Tinubu in Abuja. And you are telling me that he does not have any grassroots support and all that.
For Daniel Bwala, we do know that he's basically just a member of the PDP. And during this interview with one of the Monitor television programs, on a particular Monitor television programs, Daniel Bwala said that he's just a member. People expect that a PDP that is supposed to be a strong opposition party and has been silent. He is not part of the National Working Committee. However, some of the strong members within the party have been making reference and talking about some political issues, but not strong enough. However, he's referring to the fact that for the Labour Party, especially Peter Obi, that had stipulated earlier this year that the Labour Party intends to be a very strong opposition party. He affirmed, or he attributed to the fact that the reason why Atiku Abubakar did not really get enough votes was that the Christian leaders supported Peter Obi deliberately to reduce Atiku's votes. Do you think that's basically what happened? Do you think that is how it seems? He's saying that Christian leaders did not want Atiku to become a president, so they rather told in supporting Peter Obi. But after the elections and Peter Obi did not win, then they have not said anything whatsoever in contribution to national issues, specifically some of the policies that currently this administration has implemented. Do you think that is basically what it is?
What concerns religious leaders with policy statements of government? You want them to leave their calling and be playing politics. It was during the election, and they took a stand on what they want. Not even religious leaders, the whole Nigeria. And tell me that it was only the religious leader that gave the people the 6 million votes he got. Was it religious leaders?
No. Okay,
let's assume that is what he meant. How come the same Muslim leader did not give Atiku a majority vote in the north? How come? Was it to me that stopped them from doing that? You can imagine. That statement lacked any foundation. The only thing is that they are becoming jealous and bitter that P2B is gaining prominence. What they could not do, P2B is doing it. That's just all, nothing else.
But Mr. Darlington, a lot of political analysts, Mr. Darlington, political analysts and critics like yourself, including Mr. Darlington, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
I said a lot of analysts and political critics like yourself have actually stated that the Labour Party needs to do more beyond Peter Obi, otherwise they wouldn't be considered a strong contender. If you remove Peter Obi out of the Labour Party, they may not gain resonance like they did. So the question is, what is the Labour Party not doing right that they ought to do right if they need to be considered as a strong contender for 2027? Because according to Daniel Bola, the APC is likely to win again if the current trends of things within the PDP and the Labour Party continues.
Answer, please, I want to ask you, what do they want Labour Party to be doing? Do they want them to be holding rallies every day? The election is come and gone, and the Tinubu and his allies who hijacked this election, they say we should move on. Do you want the Labour Party to hit us the politics?
Not necessarily. Okay, Mr. Darlington, let me ask you a question. According to Daniel Bola, he says within the Labour Party, which other prominent person that can even stand in pari passu with Peter Obi that people can listen to and follow? Who is the other prominent person whose voice is very strong that has the kind of followership that Peter Obi has garnered? That's the question Daniel Bola is saying. So literally, he's talking about the fact that the Labour Party needs to do more beyond social media, and that it is not Nigerians in diaspora that will help the Labour Party have an edge in 2027. Because according to what he said, based on statistics that were carried out post-election, it was mostly Nigerians in diaspora that did a lot of talking on social media. So, do you agree with Daniel Bola's line of thoughts, considering the fact that he feels there are no more prominent members within the Labour Party besides Peter Obi?
Who told him that? And I asked him again, I asked Daniel Bola, was it the people in diaspora that gave Peter Obi the 6 million votes he got? He should have answered me. Now, do we have diaspora voting? I don't know where he's coming from. The statistics or the commission, the polling he commissioned, who was behind it? If you commission a poll, they will do it in your favor now. If PDP has been a strong opposition, then the prominence of Obi has gained may not even come up. But like I told you, nature abhors a vacuum. PDP have lost that position as an opposition. That was why P2B came out and said, look, we will not keep quiet over this APC. If not, they will erode all of us into their party. So because the Labour Party is playing that role now, Wala and his paymasters are becoming jealous.
You think
What is
so?
Atiku
You
doing?
think
That
it's
is my
about jealousy. Bola is just like any other member within the PDP, and so he can criticize. He doesn't really have any possible strong pillar standing within the PDP. Possibly he's making his own reaction. He's reacting based on his observations on some trends within the Labour Party.
He's not the right person to do that. He should have told us what Atiku is doing.
Well, according to Daniel Bola, he says that Atiku has revealed that he will contest for presidency again in 2027.
If there is a free and fair election, Esther, I am telling you authoritatively, both to Tinubu and whoever is not a match to be. Esther, I am telling authoritatively, if there was a free and fair election, we would have given all of them a bloody nose. Did you hear what I told you before? If Obi could win Lagos against all political permutations, he floored Tinubu in Lagos. Even Tinubu was shocked. What are you telling me? If he could win Lagos, then which other state will Obi not win? It was when they won Lagos and they saw what was coming. That was when they started doing their magic with IRF. Did you know what happened? It was when they discovered what happened then that they became different over Obi. So if there is a free and fair election, you can only do what is it. If there is a free and fair election, answer, there was no free and fair election. Even at that, look at the performance of Obi during the last election. So nobody should come and tell us that the not grassroots, the not structure. This not a hard structure. What do you mean by structure? Obi depends on the human capital that are behind him. What other structure are you talking about? All the places Obi went to campaign, it was the people that sponsored everything. Obi did not have the kind of stolen fund that his opponents have. So what are you telling me? Obi is selling because of his integrity. They saw what he did in Anambra, which none of them that have held office in this country have performed half of what Obi performed in Anambra. So what is he talking about that Obi does not have this? Let him go on personal character. Does any of his opponents, Obi's opponent, have the character of Obi? Do they have the integrity of Obi? That is what Ghana should have been telling us. Not all this that he's talking here and there. Obi does not want to play the politics as others are playing it. He wants to play politics of integrity and character. That's what Obi stands for. Obi will not do what others are doing. He will never. Do you see any thought following Obi? Did you see any thought anywhere flogging people? If you don't go to Obi, you will die today. If you don't go to Obi, your own is finished. If you don't go to Obi, did you see anybody playing that role for Obi? But is that what happened in Lagos here? Is that what you call election?
Mr. Darlington, we're running out of time. Apparently, Daniel Bola also revealed that Atiku Abubakar will contest for presidency again in 2027. He made this known, via a monitor television program. And this is what he said. He said, sure, he will run. He has the capacity, he has the wisdom, he has the knowledge, he has the energy, and he is a president we never had. According to him, he says, if I'm going to be honest with you, if there is any politician who understands the private sector very well, it is Atiku Abubakar, and that the economy can only come alive if there is a private sector-led economy. Other critics have complained that the PDP is not being strategic if they refile, if they reschedule and put in place Atiku Abubakar as its presidential candidate. However, should 2027 be the focus now, or should grassroots development and economic acceleration be the mandate for the All Progressives Congress? As quickly as possible, please.
Please, anybody who loves Atiku should advise him to take a break.
Okay.
Yes, he should take a break. He has tried. He has gotten everything. I don't know what else he wants. Esther, there was a man in South Africa called Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years trying to liberate South Africa from apartheid. They offered him everything, but he said South Africa must be free. That was the matter. Throughout his 27 years, apartheid the government gave him everything, wanted to buy him over, but he refused. Eventually, he succeeded and became the first president of Black South Africa. And this man ran for just one term for 4 years. I went up to rest. Therefore, they said, please stay, don't go. He said, no.
Mr. Darlington, I do apologize. We've actually run out of time, but I want to say thank you so much for giving us your perspective on the issues discussed on the radio.
So that's not learning. It's not about what you do. That is what to let him support somebody to do.
All right.
People have seen this enough.
Thank you, Mr. Darlington. Thank you once again. All right, we need to wrap up because we have a program coming up. You can actually join us on at VOP TV Live for an extension on political issues. That is at Voice of the People TV on YouTube at VOP TV Live. I and my analysts, we're talking extensively on some of these prominent issues in the political arena. They'll be giving us their perspective and the breakdown of what this means and how this would shape our political landscape in 2027 and the actors involved, what the roles they need to play and how it would affect the Nigerian people. To wrap up the world news at 6, here again are the top stories. 4 killed as gunmen attacked Nasarawa supermarket. African Action Congress tackles Peter Obi over support on subsidy removal. Daniel Bwala speaks on Peter Obi and the Labour Party as a strong opposition. Atiku finally speaks on contesting 2027 presidency. That is a wrap on the world news. My name is Esther Nwachukwu. Good evening and thank you for staying with us.